Also just send him any presents that we have. Alright, so we've got Nerd Rage on the left-hand side, xRetri and Scrippy already just jumping right into this post. We've got a Warthog and the Police Striker with a little flashing lights on top of it. That just makes it extra scary when it's chasing behind you. Meanwhile, on the right-hand side, we've got Makeshift and Xaldarino, both in that Pax Helix. Helix is generally regarded as a pretty strong mech right now. It's undergone some very recent balance changes, one of which accidentally changed something in the code to make it 3 times more powerful than it should be, but that has been offset several times. So Helix is in a little bit more of a sweet spot, but many players still believing it to be slightly too powerful. Now these ground missiles are going to effectively get rid of that turret, so this is a much faster paced game than we've been seeing so far. Red team already neutralizing that front post, Carbon team already capturing their second post, moving up and neutralizing the second one as well. And so Scrippy trying to take out this neutral Goliath. They're going to clear this path up so that they can leapfrog their units up and set up a good tank blob right here and not see any sort of counterfire from the neutral. Scrippy doing a quick scout, just seeing if there's any shenanigans going on and seeing kind of this more traditional approach where they're just capturing the stuff, building their units up, and they're going to start creeping in on the other side of mid is the common way that this is going to happen. So pretty much a traditional approach from both teams. Scrippy seeing if he can pick anything off, doing a quick neutralize if he can, but goes ahead and gets out of there. He's got no follow-up. He doesn't want to over-invest if he can't neutralize it. And he's going against some pretty good players right here. We've got a little bit of a command miss micro going on, getting a Longhorn picked off, almost a Bucky, but xRetri getting sniped by the Bucky, adding insult to injury, but Scrippy going ahead and finishing off that Bucky, avenging his friend. Makeshift dropping a couple heavy mines quietly, but surely enough, to try and prevent these red team from pushing in. So Xaldarino going ahead, setting up more Buckies. Buckies are good for this long-range assault sort of style, but they're not really in range of anything. Even though they have long range, you can't really take advantage of that long range until, you know, you're within the range to shoot things. Red moving right into those heavy mines, getting wiped out. Oh, couple of tanks going down. Now they still have firm control over this, but those 3 or 4 Longhorn that go down could very well be the difference when they have a confrontation with the Carbon team. Now Carbon is losing their outpost to, oh, 1 creep sitting in the door. Almost had a successful neutralize going on. So Carbon finding themselves outnumbered and outgunned here, but they do have the range advantage with these Buckies, but they're not using them. They have to leapfrog them up so that they're actually within range. If they're not shooting, they're really not doing you any good. And even if they were, xRetri dropping 3 or 4 Aegis. Those are the ones with the lasers on the side. Those are going to be taking out all of these missiles coming in, and that also nullifies the Helix fire. You've got 2 Helixes. They do not have guns. They have missiles. So anything that is an anti-missile unit is going to be very effective against this double Helix Bucky team when all of their units they're using are using missiles. So Makeshift trying to get away, but unsuccessfully going down to that Warthog fire in combination with a handful of flackers that are spaced in this unit cluster. So, ooh, Carbon team getting taken out. A bunch of units right there. What from? Oh, there is actually 1 Archie in here that is consistently putting damage in. Now, xRetri could get taken out, but once again, the missiles don't work. You've just got too many Aegis, so that air to ground is completely nullified from the Helix. Aegis being the hard counter to this sort of composition. So Carbon's got to switch it up. They got to get off of Buckies, and Helix, I mean, is pretty much a given. You can't change your mech. xRetri going ahead, salvaging 1 lockbox, Makeshift salvaging another, so both teams each have that extra boost of credits that they can pump units out. But Red has got a pretty hard advantage, both in the actual makeup, in the actual composition, but as well as just the overall numbers. We've got 80 units to 56. And these are not heavy units, these are fragile units. You bring tanks up close with Buckies, the Buckies are going to lose. Xaldarino trying to put in some Seekers, but once again, these are all missile units. You've got multiple Aegis just taking all these missiles out. Now the Buckies are finally shooting. These Longhorn that aren't under that protective blanket are going to get wiped out. So Makeshift trying desperately for a neutralize with a Ratchet and a Creep. So this is not going to work. Red Team Scrippy already socketing bot spawners around, and he's probably going to be socketing more. You're going to have this steady stream of red infantry coming in. Makeshift almost getting taken out, but he does Q-heal that little last bit up and able to get away no problem. So Makeshift creeping forward with some turtles, which is an unusual and usually ill-advised unit choice. What these are is they literally do nothing. They stick their faces in the ground and they wait for the world to end. But in the meantime, they're actually pretty heavy armor, so they're an HP sink. He's putting these up as an unpushable shield to just soak up some fire. But without any repair units topping them off, those turtles are going to go down as well. xRetri with the Warthog air to ground, just going ahead and sniping what's left of that one turtle. So red is just building up a giant unit cluster right here. They're not holding any secrets, they're not doing anything fancy, and just as soon as there's enough of a numbers difference, they're just going to go ahead and push in. It's going to be 104 to 69. So not going to be much of a fight. Carbon Team really needs to switch this up. They've transitioned into a couple artillery, but there's enough repair units here that it's not going to be putting in a whole lot of damage at all. So Carbon Team is just getting wiped out. Even the slow artillery fire is consistently killing units. And if you lose the units, I mean, 68, now they're unit capped, so they've lost their close outpost to a couple of Longhorns that Scrippy dropped. Xaldarino trying to get a little bit of fort damage in, but this harassment just isn't effective. xRetri and Scrippy both keeping a good eye on their mini-maps, both just kind of pressing forward, pressing the advantage. Since Carbon Team's unit cap, even if they had money, they can't build anything to defend against this, so Red Team's just going to capture this outpost, no problem. Makeshift might actually get taken out here, which he does. So now there's not even a Carbon player to respond to this. Xaldarino thinking about, now noticing that, oh shoot, there's a lot of red units here. So the line is completely breaking apart. You've got red units in the rear, you've got red units in the front. They outnumber them 2 to 1. At this point, red just has to give a command to any of these and they will end this. So they put them on capture, which is actually a good decision. Or they may have just shuffled them around a bit, that's okay. But what red needs to be doing is pushing right into this outpost. They could push strength to strength, but when you outnumber them this much, why take the risk? Why expose yourself? Makeshift getting taken down again by the air-to-ground fire from the Warthog. You can land, you can try to hide, you can try to heal, but the Warthog just don't care. He's just going to shoot his gun the other direction. So red team going ahead, going to move in. Meanwhile, Xaldarino trying desperately to get something, but he doesn't have 4 infantry. These brutes, they're going to be strong, they're going to be buffed, they're going to garrison this outpost, but he needs 2 more. And he's got no support from Makeshift, so these brutes are going to end up going down. They're not going to capture this outpost. Trying to put a little bit of fort damage in, but once again, this is basically red team's game to lose. In fact, Xaldarino might get taken out here if he's not careful. The neutral Seeker's probably going to take him down. Yep. So, keep in mind, the neutrals still exist. Scrippy going to go ahead. He says, you know, I got all these units. Let's go ahead and do something with them. No sense in pushing them here. This is not valuable territory. So he's just going to use his mech, pick off what he can, using his sword to hit multiple units at once. And is going to go ahead and move these units towards that right outpost. If they capture this, it will be total domination. This carbon cluster has no repair units in it. In fact, there's only 1 ratchet, so even 1 artillery over to the side will eventually be able to take this out. Scrippy and xRetri still just kind of doing the irresistible death push. Carbon is now out of units. They've got a couple of money makers socketed. They've got no units on the right-hand post. They've got a couple of peppers and 1 T99 socketed. T99 sockets on the fort itself. When units get close, they're actually not able to aim down. Retri could get taken out here, but not going to happen. Makeshift just could not get those missiles out fast enough. Red team's going to go ahead and push that right side now, but oh wait, they already own it, so at this point that's just going to be an undefendable fort push since any units that they do have are over here. Carbon team is just not using their units that they have, and they find themselves unit capped. If they were going to do anything, they really need to move these somewhere else, because they're just slowly but surely getting sniped off as they get outmaneuvered and outpositioned left and right. So, not looking good for... shoot, forgot the team name again. Stacked Deck. I guess it was stacked, but it was probably stacked against them. That's my fault. But I enjoy my job. So transitioning into these gangsters now. Gangsters also very hard to fight. They are technically light units, but they've got such heavy armor. Makeshift, a level 6 helix, blasting volley after volley into the backs of these gangsters and just can't even take one down. Retri picks one up and just shoots him down. So no casualties inflicted for the Carbon team. So there's nothing left at this point. That is another GG. Nerd Rage going to take this game over Stacked Deck, and that is the bracket 6 of this Carry Me tournament. Awesome. That was a surprisingly close battle, but Carbon just finding themselves outmaneuvered. They just needed to move their stuff, change their composition. There was a hard counter with those Aegis in the beginning, and Carbon just failing to notice that all of those missiles were getting taken down and that their mechs and their units were useless against that cluster. So a little bit of a loadout counter, but if there were a faster reaction, I think they could have salvaged that game. GG. I know the USB is coming back. Let's fix that.